2020 జేఈఈ మెయిన్ ఫలితాలలో ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ విద్యార్థుల ప్రభంజనం. ఆల్ ఇండియా అన్ని కేటగిరీస్లు 18, 35, 251, 253, 582, 606, 778, 780, 812, 821, 1031, 1049, 1303, 1575, 1654, 1753, 1754, 1978 ర్యాంకులే కాక మరెన్నో ఉత్తమ ఫలితాలు సాధించిన విద్యా సంస్థ ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్. ఈ ఫలితాలు సాధించడానికి కారణమైన లెక్చరర్లు మరియు తల్లిదండ్రులకు మా కృతజ్ఞతలు. ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషనల్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్స్.
Hello students, so for the last class we started with cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria is a very important organism. So regarding cyanobacteria we have discussed Godko phenomenon. It has ability to observe different wavelengths of light and can give different colors. That's why it's called blue-green algae and also called cyanophyceae, mixophyceae. Right? And here if you look at for the last class we studied about center colorless centroplasm having naked circular DNA. Surrounded by peripheral pigmented one, it's called as chromoplasm. Pigments, what pigments find we discussed. Now apart from this, specialized cells which we find are called heterocysts. Heterocyst helps in nitrogen fixation. Then apart from this, they often form blooms, the polluted water bodies, and they are the primitive organisms which exhibit oxygenic photosynthesis. Now if you look at here, these bloom cyanobacteria, the reserve food material. If you look at the reserve food material in cyanobacteria, the reserve food material is nothing but we call a cyanophycean starch, called a cyanophycean starch, and along with proteinaceous granules. Cyanophycean starch along with proteinaceous granules. So here the reserve food material what we find in this case means cyanobacteria, how it stores food materials. If you look at the cyanobacteria, it stores food material in the form of starch materials, in the form of protein granules. So whenever we get the question that reserve food material of cyanobacteria, it is nothing but cyanophycean starch. It is in the form of, it also stores in the form of proteinaceous granules. Cyanophycean starch is also called mixophycean starch and along with the proteinaceous granules. Now let us come to the reproduction part here. Now if you take the reproduction part here, mainly here we are discussing what is called as asexual reproduction, because we studied that sexual reproduction is absent. Asexual vegetative reproduction itself is referred as asexual reproduction. Now, in this case, if you look at asexual reproduction or vegetative reproduction, most commonly occurs by the fission or fragmentation. Fission means it is get broken down, it divide into organisms. It is small fragment gets separated. Fragmentation means it's divided into number of fragments. Each fragment wherever it falls, that develops into an organism. Fission or by we say fragmentation, both having the same meaning they get broken down. Fission or fragmentation, same meaning, means it is divided into number of fragments. Each fragment develops into a complete organism again. That's why it's called vegetative mode of reproduction itself is called as asexual reproduction. Now apart from this, now if you look at, now here even we can see formation of hormogonia. What is meant by hormogonia? Formation of hormogonia. So hormogonia is nothing but a short fragment separated from or separated at heterocyst heterocyst. A short fragment separated at heterocyst itself is called as Harmogonia. What's the meaning of this? Where is heterocyst? Here and there you find some heterocyst. This is again heterocyst. H is nothing but heterocyst. Let us take heterocyst. And this is again a heterocyst. So here on cyanobacteria, here and there you find some specialized cells. These specialized cells are called as heterocyst. Now, whenever the fragmentation is happening, the fragmentation happens in heterocyst, exactly at heterocyst. This is a heterocyst here, so it breaks here. And here this is a heterocyst here, it breaks here. So, this will get broken. And here also it will get broken. Where it breaks, here it will get broken. A fragment is broken exactly at heterocyst. Exactly at heterocyst. So, this fragment is separated out. So what is the fragment you can see now? This is how this is having heterocyst. Now that it has number of cells, and like this again heterocyst is there. So why it is broken with heterocyst here? Because this heterocyst helps in fixing atmospheric nitrogen into ammonia or nitrate. So the filament will get sufficient amount of nitrogen that each small fragment or the short fragment what got separated at heterocyst along with the heterocyst itself is called Harmogonia. Wherever it falls, again it divides and undergo fission. Each cell undergo fission. One cell will divide and form two cells. As a result, it enlarges in size and forms complete cyanobacteria. Again, it produced itself into total big cyanobacteria. A short fragment which is separated at the heterocyst, which involved again for the formation of the complete cyanobacteria, complete filament, itself is called as Harmogonia. I hope you all understood what is Harmogonia. Harmogonia is nothing but a short fragment separated at the heterocyst. It's a short fragment, it's breaking, or fragmentation is happening at the heterocyst, and this side also at the heterocyst. Now this fragment is separated. Wherever the short fragment falls, it waits for the favorable conditions. During favorable condition, this again develops into complete cyanobacteria. It's called Harmogonia. And what is the other one we have to discuss under asexual mode of reproduction? Either by Harmogonia or sometimes asexually it reproduces by echinites. Or sometimes asexually it reproduces by echinites. So, either formation of Harmogonia or they may be formation of echinites. Formation of echinites. Now, what are these echinites? What are these echinites? So, here if you look at, there is a formation of echinites. Now, if you look at these echinites here, they are the thick-walled cells. Here this is a cell, what you can see. Maybe at the time of asexual reproduction, some cells, they develop thick wall or thick cyst here. So this forms thick-walled cells. They are nothing but thick-walled cells. Get detached from the parent cell or separated from parent cell. Separated from parent cell. Parent filament. Separated from parent filament. Okay, out of the total filament, maybe there are some cells, they develop thick wall surrounding them. The thick wall itself is nothing but the cyst. Inside the cyst, they get protected. So, the moment when they develop the thick wall, they get separated from the parent plant. So, here also the same. They get separated from the parent plant, and wherever they fall, so because of the cyst, they get protected. They get protected with the help of a cyst. When they get separated from the parent cell, wherever they fall, and there they develop into complete cyanobacteria. So this thick wall cell get broken from the parent cell and it will fall somewhere in the surrounding environment. Wherever it falls, again that leads to development of complete cyanobacteria. Like this again it develops. So acinites are nothing but, here these are called acinites. These thick walled cells are called acinites. What are these acinites? Thick walled cells separated from the parent filament are called acinites. So when they get separated, they get broken here, they get broken here from the parent cell. They get detached from the parent cell. Wherever they fall, because of the thick wall is called cyst. Inside the cyst they get protected. Slowly they germinate and they divide and they produce again total filament. There is a formation again, complete total daughter filament of cyanobacteria. Such thick walled cells are called as generally acinites. So reproduces either by asexually by harmogonia or by the formation of acinites. So again I repeat, asexual vegetative reproduction itself is a type of asexual production. It occurs by fission, one cell divides and forms two cells, or by fragmentation, broken down into number of fragments. Harmogonia, maybe asexual production also occurs by harmogonia. Sometimes it occurs by the formation of harmogonia in some cyanobacteria. What is harmogonia? A short fragment separated at heterocyst. Wherever heterocyst is there, suppose here heterocyst and here heterocyst, it breaks at heterocyst. The filament separates and falls in the surrounding environment. Wherever it falls, again it develops into complete organism. That's by formation of harmogonia, one type of asexual reproduction. Sometimes what happens, same cyanobacteria, sometimes asexually it reproduces by the formation of acinites. What are these acinites? Are thick walled cells separated from the parent filament. So here and there some cells they develop thick wall and get separated from this, and wherever they fall, again they totally develop into a different cyanobacteria. So the thick walled cells they separate from the parent cell because of the thick walls itself is called cyst. Inside the cyst they are protected during unfavorable environmental conditions and they get separated from the mother cell. Okay, so this is nothing but what we call cyanobacteria. Now if you look at, we say that there is one important point. The red color of the sea, the red color of sea is due to Trichodesmata erytheum. Trichodesmata erytheum. Very, very, very important. This is very, very important. Sometimes sea appear red in color. Red color of the sea. Sometimes sea appears red in color. At some places of the sea, if you look it appears red in color. So red color of the sea by which cyanobacteria if the question comes, then remember it's by Trichodesmata erytheum. Very, very important. Last point is very, very important. This point what I have written here is very, very important. Red color of the sea is due to which cyanobacteria whenever you get the question. Trichodesmata erytheum. Very, very, very important. Because red color of the sea, it's also because of some dinoflagellates that we'll study later. But whenever the question is, so this appears mostly in the form of a question. So, what is the question? Where at some places here and there on the sea appears red in color. The red color of the sea is due to Trichodesmata erytheum. Erytheum, very, very important. Which cyanobacteria or which blue-green algae means Trichodesmata erytheum. This part is very, very important. Now, let us continue with Mycoplasma. Why? Because under eubacteria, if you look at, now we already have discussed about cyanobacteria. Under eubacteria cyanobacteria, we have different categories. First one we completed cyanobacteria. Then we have to discuss mycoplasma as well as actinomycetes. Mycoplasma as well as actinomycetes. So here, when we look at here, the eubacteria has, we discussed all bacterial characteristics. In that cyanobacteria we have completed. Now apart from cyanobacteria, mycoplasma, actinomycetes also fall in the category called eubacteria. Now cyanobacteria is completed. Now let us discuss about mycoplasma. Now when we take the mycoplasma here, it's nothing but it's also called joker of the plant kingdom. It's called joker of the plant kingdom, or which is also called PPLO, also called MLO. Okay, so let us see why it is called so. Mycoplasma is important for all of us to study. Mycoplasma is very important. Now this mycoplasma, if you look at, all points are very important. It is referred as the smallest living cell. It is referred as the smallest living cell. Now mostly we have a chance of getting this question. Whenever we get the question which is the smallest living cell, then we have to take the option as mycoplasma. As it is very small and responsible for causing pneumonia infection, and it lies from 0.01 to 0.1. You will get it back again this size in cytology. That's why as responsible for causing pneumonia, that's why it's also called as fluoropneumonia like organism. Fluoropneumonia like organism. PPLO, as it's very small, 0.01 to 0.1, that's why it's responsible for causing pneumonia, and pleural fluid it contains. That's why it's called fluoropneumonia like organisms. That's why it's called PPLO, or it's also called MLO, mycoplasma like organisms. M means mycoplasma. That means in mycoplasma they have discovered so many other types of bacteria, other types of species, and they look like mycoplasma. Actually they are mycoplasma species itself. That's why they called as mycoplasma like organisms. Also called PPLO, fluoropneumonia like organisms. Now this is the smallest living cell, and it can survive. It can survive in the absence of oxygen. It can survive in the absence of oxygen. If oxygen is not there, but still they can survive. Means they also come under anaerobes. Means they, even though oxygen was not there, but still this bacteria can grow in their culture. Right? Now, apart from this, they are pleomorphic in nature. They are pleomorphic bacteria. They are pleomorphic in nature. So, at last class we have studied, when we are discussing about bacteria, we studied about pleomorphism. What is pleomorphism? It is said to be pleomorphic. It changes its shape. It changes its shape according to the surrounding environment. It changes its shape according to the surrounding environment. So here, as it has ability to change its shape according to the surrounding environment, that is why it's said to be called as what? Pleomorphic. That means here, let us imagine, once it looks like bacilli, rod-shaped bacteria. When the surface is like this, then it becomes spirillum like this. And later again, if the surface is uniform, then normal, then it becomes cocci. So it is observed that mycoplasma responsible for causing different diseases. One person who is suffering with particular symptoms of the disease, and it was caused by mycoplasma. Maybe the morning who is suffering with the symptoms, the person in the morning, they may take the sample, observe under microscope. The infection causing bacteria looks like bacilli, broad shape, imagine. Maybe after one day, again for taking the sample, second day again they took the sample, and again they were thinking they will see the number of bacilli infection causing organism. Instead of bacilli, from the same human being when sample is took on the second day, it was looking like a spirillum. And after 2 days, when they started giving treatment, after 2 days, whether the number got reduced or not, infection causing organism number got reduced or not, to check that once again they took the sample after 4 days from the same human being who is suffering with the same symptoms caused by mycoplasma. And after 4 days, when they look at in the sample, it was appeared like a cocci. So they could not able to understand whether infection causing organism is a bacilli, or it is a spirillum, or it is a cocci. So one time we see bacilli appear, one time if the sample is taken spirillum appears, one time if the sample is taken cocci appears from the same human being who is suffering with the same disease symptoms caused by mycoplasma. So like that they took different humans who are suffering with mycoplasmal infections. They saw in different people taking different samples. Then our scientists, for them it became difficult to identify that all different shapes belong to the same bacteria called mycoplasma. It took many years for the scientists to identify all different shapes what are being observed in the same person. All belong to the same bacteria called mycoplasma. So for many years, it became, most of the scientists, they became fools. That one scientist says that this is caused by bacilli. No. Other scientist says second it appeared spirillum, so this is caused by spirillum. Most of the people became fools. That's why it's called joker of the plant kingdom. So one time it appears one shape, after some time, after second day if you take, see it appears in another shape, it keeps changes its shapes. That's why it is also called as joker of the plant kingdom. It's also called joker of the plant kingdom. It keeps changes its shape. That is called as pleomorphism. Mycoplasma is an example for pleomorphism. I have given already this example for last class along with other example, Acetobacter. Pleomorphism, best examples are nothing but Acetobacter and Mycoplasma. These two are the examples. So what is pleomorphic nature? It changes its shape according to the surrounding environment. Alright, so that's why it's called pleomorphism. That's why the mycoplasma is called joker of the plant kingdom. And here it is in this most important, all points are star marks here, they're very, very important. In mycoplasma, cell wall is absent. Very, very important. In mycoplasma, cell wall is totally absent. So if you look at in this, very, very important, as cell wall it is absent, it is insensitive to. It is insensitive to antibiotics such as penicillin as well as lysozyme. And these two are not effective. Insensitive meaning not effective. Not effective on mycoplasma. So here another very, very important point. In case of mycoplasma, cell wall is totally absent. Very, very important. See, all these points are very, very important. It's nothing but smallest living cell. It can survive in the absence of oxygen. It is a pleomorphic bacteria where it can change its shape, and cell wall is totally absent. So in which bacteria cell wall is absent means mycoplasma. Which is the smallest living cell means mycoplasma. As cell wall is absent here, this is insensitive. Even this point is very, very important. This is insensitive to antibiotics like penicillin and lysozyme. So if any bacterial infection is there, most commonly the doctors, they will make them to choose penicillin, because penicillin is the most commonly used antibiotic nowadays. For most of the bacterial infections, the doctor first suggests the use of antibiotic called penicillin, and then lysozyme, cell wall digesting enzyme, lysozyme. So even though the doctor gives the penicillin antibiotic, but it cannot kill Mycoplasma, because these two are cell wall targeting antibiotics and they are not effective on Mycoplasma, insensitive to antibiotics, meaning Mycoplasma is insensitive, not sensitive, insensitive to antibiotic. Even though most commonly used penicillin, lysozyme, if they applied also, they are not effective on Mycoplasma. Now let us continue further. We have some more things to discuss. Now apart from this, if you look at here, now if you look at the structure of the Mycoplasma, here replicating disc is present at one end. We find occurrence of replicating disc is present at one end of genome. It's present at one end of genome. What's the meaning of that? Now let us take the meaning of this. Now if you look at, in this case, if you look at, replicating disc is present at one corner of the Mycoplasma. So here the replicating disc is present at one end of the genome. Now if you take this, now replicating disc, if you look at, this is how it looks like, because cell wall is absent, no cell wall, we write no cell wall is totally absent. Now what is present here? What is present here is nothing but, this is cell membrane. What is present here? This is nothing but a cell membrane. Within the cell membrane you find here there are some genetic material, but at one corner of the genetic material, at one end of the genetic material, what you find, it's called replicating disc. You find a platelet structure, a small platelet structure at one end of the genetic material. Now this is called replicating disc. Replicating disc is present only in Mycoplasma and absent in rest of the bacteria. So this character is also very important. Then what way the replicating disc help means, here it helps in respiration as well as also helps in replication. It helps in respiration, also helps in replication. Helps in respiration as well as replication. Okay, respiration. So with the help of this replicating disc, it responds, and also with this it undergoes the process called as replication. So at one corner of genetic material you find a platelet structure called replicating plate or disc, which helps in respiration and replication. Now among the Mycoplasmas, if you look at, some are useful, some of the Mycoplasma are useful, and some of them exist as saprophytes and some of them exist as pathogens. Some of them exist as pathogens. Now let us talk about, because most of them are saprophytes, now let us talk about pathogenic nature of Mycoplasma. Now some of the Mycoplasma, they are harmful to human beings in causing different diseases. Pathogens. What are pathogens? Disease causing organisms are called as pathogens. Now this Mycoplasma, it causes mycoplasmal urethritis. Mycoplasmal urethritis in case of humans. So this is nothing but name of the disease. Name of the disease. Name of the diseases. We are writing name of the diseases here. Mycoplasmal urethritis is a disease occurs in humans caused by Mycoplasma. And another, these all are nothing but names of the diseases what I am giving, very very important for all of you to remember. Other one is Rich's Brew, WRI, Rich's Brew. Now the Rich's Brew is the name of the disease, occurs in plants. So if you take this, so in plants, Mycoplasma is responsible for causing the disease called Rich's Brew. And other disease is Fluoropneumonia. Fluoropneumonia. Fluoropneumonia is a disease found most commonly in case of animals. It's found in case of animals. Okay, so here this is very very important. Replicating this helps in respiration and replication. Now, most of the mycoplasmal species are pathogenic in nature. They are responsible for causing different type of diseases. Now we are writing name of the diseases. Very very important. I kept star marks. All mycoplasma related points are very very important. So star marks are kept. Now mycoplasmal erythritis is a disease caused in humans by Mycoplasma. Rich's Brew is a disease caused on plants by Mycoplasma, and Mycoplasma causes Fluoropneumonia in case of animals. The three diseases are very very important. I repeat, very important. Mycoplasmal erythritis found in humans, and Rich's Brew is a type of disease caused by Mycoplasma in plants. Fluoropneumonia is a type of disease caused in animals by Mycoplasma. So Mycoplasma is very very important. Few points are there and each and every point is very very important. Now let us continue further. Now Cyanobacteria we have done, Cyanobacterium. Now let us continue with Actinomycetes. Let us continue with next one, also important, that is called as Actinomycetes. It's called Actinomycetes. Now this Actinomycetes is also called as Mycobacterium, or it's also called as ray fungi. It's also called as ray fungi. Now let us study why this Actinomycetes is called as a Mycobacterium, because here the bacteria, BA means bacteria, looks like fungi. It looks like fungi. So it looks like fungi. How fungi will be there? It is like this, like fungal structure hyphae. If you look at this, is how it looks. That means it's nothing but filamentous. This bacteria is filamentous in structure. The bacteria is filamentous. So we see unicellular filamentous bacteria. What we find here? So when you look at the Actinomycetes is filamentous. So it looks like filamentous, but generally bacteria, how it will be like this. Generally bacteria, it will be like this. But here, instead of either it may be rod shape, or it may be cocal shape, or it may be spirillum, or it may be comma shape. But these are nothing. There is one particular bacteria which is filamentous. Very very important. This itself is called filamentous bacteria, because you know generally fungi is filamentous, right? One above the other, cells will be filamentous. Now there is only one bacteria which looks like fungi, which is that's why it's called Mycobacterium. Myco means fungi. Myco means fungi. Fungi-like bacterium. What do you call this? Fungi-like bacterium. That's why it's called Mycobacterium, or itself is also called ray fungi. We'll see later why it's called ray fungi. Fungi-like bacterium. That's why it's called Mycobacterium, meaning bacteria looks like fungi. Okay, so when we take the filamentous structure here, in case of actinomycetes, we find formation of, suppose if you take this, it forms, or we can say, it forms radiating colonies. It forms radiating colonies. Okay, when it forms radiating colonies, that means what? I take Petri plate. In the Petri plate we add nutrients. Then we maintain pH, temperature, pressure and everything. Then we add droplet of actinomycetes into this. Then it grows like it forms and grows and forms radiating colonies, meaning shiny colonies like this. It forms radiating colonies. Radiating colonies means somewhat the group of actinomycetes which are growing here, they are very shiny. That's why they are called radiating colonies. And while growing, they grow like a race. That's why it's also called as ray fungi. As they grow like a race, they are also called as what? Ray fungi. Right? Now, here in this actinomycetes, the cell wall contains, or cell wall is made up of mycolic acid. A cell wall is made up of the component called as what? A mycolic acid. So here, this is very, very important. A cell wall is made up of mycolic acid. Very important. Because here if you look at mycolic acid, mycolic means somewhat the acid, the component which is present in like fungi. Cell wall is made up of mycolic acid is also very, very important thing. Now, coming to actinomycetes, most of them are saprophytes and some of them are decomposers. Now, if you look at, some of them are decomposers. Most of them are saprophytes and some of them are decomposers. Decomposers means they feed upon dead and decomposing organic matter. Now if you look at here, and some of the actinomycetes, even they act as parasites, and some of these parasites are pathogens. Now pathogens means which are responsible for causing the diseases. Now which organisms belonging to actinomycetes are pathogenic in nature? Now we studied the two important organisms, Mycobacterium, this is one, and other one is Corynebacterium. One is Mycobacterium, other one is Corynebacterium. So these two are very, very important. So if you take the parasites and some of the actinomycetes members of parasites are pathogenic in nature, and some of the pathogens which belong to actinomycetes, if you take examples, Mycobacterium and Corynebacterium. So in the previous class we studied some of the bacteria are useful, very much useful, and some of the bacteria are very much harmful. They are responsible for causing diseases. They are called pathogens. So at that time we studied Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Genus I have written, there may be different species which causes different type of diseases. Mycobacterium, Mycobacterium tuberculosis, that causes a disease tuberculosis. We discussed for the last class when you write harmful activities of bacteria. Mycobacterium leprae, which causes leprosy. Right? Mycobacterium tuberculosis causes tuberculosis. Mycobacterium leprae causes leprosy. Similarly, Corynebacterium diphtheriae, which causes diphtheriasis. Nothing but they are pathogens. Now, so here before we talk about important point. Now, actinomycetes are also called Mycobacterium, are also called ray fungi. Now here bacteria looks like fungi. That's why it's called Mycobacterium. It forms a filamentous structure. right? That's why it's called filamentous bacterium. It forms radiating colonies. When culture is taken, nutrients are added. The colonies are very shiny. That's why they are called radiating colonies. And they grow like a race on the petri plate. On the nutrient medium, grow like a race. That's why it's called ray fungi. So actinomycetes is also called mycobacterium or ray fungi. Then cell wall is made up of mycolic acid. Important point to remember. Some of them are saprophytes and some of them are decomposers, and even some of them are parasites. They take shelter, and out of the parasites few are pathogens. The example for pathogens is mycobacterium as well as corynebacterium. Now apart from this, here if you look at from the actinomycetes members, people have extracted antibiotics. So here if you look at antibiotics, antibiotics are produced from, isolated from the bacteria, which is nothing but Streptomyces griseus. Streptomyces griseus. Very important. This particular bacteria, very important. Especially genus name is very important. So if you look at antibiotics, now if you look at most of the antibiotics what we find today are isolated from the bacteria, that is Streptomyces griseus. Streptomyces is genus name and species may be different. Now what are the different antibiotics are isolated? You can take what not? You can take kanamycin, tetracycline, neomycin, and most commonly used antibiotics apart from this, you can also write chloramphenicol. What is the other one? Chloramphenicol. These all antibiotics are extracted from the genus Streptomyces, but from a different species. Genus is same, but they are extracted from different species. So here if you look at this Streptomyces griseus is most commonly found antibiotic. So here if you take these antibiotics are nothing but kanamycin is extracted from genus Streptomyces ramosus, a species name. Tetracycline is extracted from Streptomyces, a genus name. Tetra is nothing but species name. Neomycin is extracted from Streptomyces ramosus, and chloramphenicol is extracted from Streptomyces horaceae. So species is different, but all these are extracted from the Streptomyces. Remember, Streptomyces belong to the category called Actinomyces. Approximately 200 antibiotics are alone extracted from the genus Streptomyces, but species is different. But the first antibiotic is isolated from Streptomyces griseus. So the first antibiotic was extracted by, the first antibiotic was isolated by the scientist Waxman. The first antibiotic isolated by the scientist Waxman. So here the first antibiotic isolated by the scientist Waxman. Waxman is the one who isolated the first antibiotic. From which he isolated the first antibiotic? From Streptomyces griseus. Okay, so here if you look at how wonder it is, suppose here if you look at one bacteria is responsible for causing the disease. Okay, one is responsible for causing the disease. And see how wonderful is our nature in God's creation. One bacteria is causing disease to the disease it's giving to us, and another bacteria is giving antibiotic as a medicine to treat that particular disease. See how wonderful is our nature. From one bacteria is useful, one bacteria is harmful in giving disease to human beings or animals. At the same time, for this disease, another bacteria is giving medicine, antibiotic in terms of treatment to treat the disease. So one bacteria is giving disease, it's harmful. To treat this particular disease, we are getting antibiotic given by another bacteria which is useful. Some bacteria are useful and some bacteria are harmful. So one bacteria is giving disease, to treat that medicine is given by another bacteria. So Streptomyces, these all antibiotics are different type of antibiotics are extracted from different species. First antibiotic is being isolated by the scientist Waxman. This is the name of the scientist, and first antibiotic is isolated from Streptomyces griseus. And remember, antibiotic producing bacteria, they belong to Actinomycetes.
ఇంటర్మీడియట్ విద్యారంగంలో అగ్రగామి మన ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్. ఐఐటి, జేఈఈ అయినా, నీట్ అయినా తిరుగులేని విద్యా సంస్థ ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్.